your own screenshots show you guys tell me to release the recording, and there's a shit ton of others that exist, including like from Sky and from you, both saying to publicize the recording. So I'm not accepting this send the recording to Kira thing. After this, he started to call Wayne Manor SK server. This was at a time a public server and had hundreds of people. He played the recording there, breaking each part down. The justification for this is to get the relevant parts to her and then be able to send it. As you can see, this was not treated at all as it should have been. And the very first word in this screenshot after you say that is the N word in all caps. That was great to see. As seen below, you can see that the situation was being...
I want to make something clear in regards to this, is that I agree with Jeb. I don't like how you handled this. That's as far as it goes for me, though.
Okay, that's fine.
But I agree with the sentiment. I wish you hadn't handled it the way that you did.
You have this screenshot right here in your doc, and it shows Neb posting this. I assume Neb is lovey-dovey because that's Spider-Gwen, as opposed to piss, cunt, spastic, faggot, and nigger. Lovey-dovey, or Neb says, it is now like he is teasing it on Twitter with a Zendai Ugg emote. There's that I spent thousands of dollars on her tweet that Kira liked and retweeted. And you said, bruh, the fuck are you doing? Ah! No. So I'm not accepting that.
Okay, so to explain that would be in relation to jokes being made in the public sphere where people would be like, wait, what's the context of this? Like, for example, when the I am suicide thing, people are like, oh, what hot take is this related to? People start asking questions, it draws attention to it.
Okay, so I don't believe in this. I will say something differently in private than I will in public. That seems kind of two-faced. The day that this was happening, you were saying all of this. So that kind of gets me to think, yeah. I'm in a jokey mood. I'm a jokey person. I like to tell jokes. I love dark humor. I love to lighten the mood.
Well, not only that, this paints it like Southpaw did not treat the situation seriously at all, which again, we've shown you context of him doing like the opposite of such. No matter what you think about him doing the whole call in SK server, for which I already said, like, I disagree. I wish he hadn't done that, but still, that was with an intention, and like an intention to like shed light on the situation, basically.
Evan, I'm so sorry. I'm going to push back. So the call, we did it in a public VC. I wanted to be
it was to have other people see it,
I also wanted
to be lighthearted and to like help get some guide. You wanted like a lot of people to help you out, basically, and get you through it.
No. I also wanted time. I wanted to be transparent about what I said in the recording. Okay, it's like, yeah. When I'm being goaded into, when you guys are pressuring me into publicizing the recording, which was, by the way, not a good idea, but you guys pressured me into thinking that. I was like, okay, then the VC should be fine. But you guys didn't communicate that the VC wasn't fine. You kept that from me. I'm gonna get chase on you, fat, sweaty 28-year-old chasing you, or when you say to Naira, get genital mutilation, Naira responds with blood spoon emotes.
Yeah, like listen, you don't need to read those out.
There's like 230 pages just for this talk about this Kira thing. You really dropped the ball with this.
Like I said, I was expecting the 6-hour grind. I'm just gonna lay this out for you, Jeb. We don't need to go through everything because Southpaw is gonna release that doc. Like I said, I don't think many people are gonna read it, and I think people are mostly just gonna watch this video. But it's all there. Anyone who watches this, like, just read it. Even some, like, as far as I'm concerned, from what I've seen, like pretty much everything in the dossier, depending on how many people cared about the 15-page dossier that Jeb wrote in January, it's all like dispelled basically inside of that doc. So read it and decide for yourself.
The first chapter is titled "Southpaw doesn't care about sexual abuse victims." There's going to be eyes on this baby, especially when this is stuff that's been swirling on me for 2 years thanks to Shandy's lies. Maybe that will give you the drive you need to use your platform to actually take action and stand up for Chase's latest victim. Referring to you, Kira. Because after all, we both know you care so much about victims of sexual abuse, right? This was a month after Wolf complained that I called them, quote, rape apologists because I publicly called them out on victim blaming. That was cool. Kira's my friend. I've watched through most of Terriers with them. We're planning on doing the Batman pretty soon. We're gonna do a Batman watch party.
Yes.
I just want to say that Kira is the kind of person who is strong, is kind, is understanding, is appreciative, is is a really great person. In the first call that I had with them, you can hear the nervousness and anxiety in my voice because I'm still dealing with all the stuff that you and your friends were dredging up. And their reactions and their bubbly disposition, you can hear my anxiety just leaving. This is a person who is a really good person, did not deserve what Chase put them through. They want everyone around them to be happy. It's a really good person. And SK betrayed them.
I don't mean to toot my own horn in this regard. The difference between you and me is I'm the one who abandoned Twitter and abandoned my old alt account. And I'm trying to like stay away from like essentially the internet itself because I hate the drama that much that it's taken me to this call and all this to completely separate from it. But for you on the 21st here and a bunch of other things and over the course of the year that you're referring to, you do seem to hold a pretty passionate position on this. These were sent out. We don't need to read them, but yeah.
These were sent around Christmas, around Thanksgiving. I mean, it's just a lot of like, Southpaw, you're such a bad person. You're a bad person. And this is based on the perception that you had, this perception that it seems like it has just completely crumbled. The stuff about Kira. Yeah, sure. You know what? If you believed what you believed about Kira at the time, I can absolutely buy thinking this stuff. But now it's like, but the problem is all of your evidence, all of your reasoning for that falls apart on basic scrutiny. I shouldn't have to write 800-page docs scrutinizing your claims. Everyone should be like, Jeb, what the fuck are you talking about?
Honestly, Southpaw, I think most people probably are. That was my reaction. Again, I think people are probably mostly apathetic to this. That's what I was.
I want to hear a concession on this whole Kira thing. You can say that you don't care. The problem is you invested so much energy into tarnishing my reputation as a former friend, and people are looking at this like, wow, Southpaw's former friend really hates him. He must be a terrible person. That's how the optics look. You actually gloated at the end of last year. One second, I've got the screen.
Southpaw, we don't.
I know. But here's the thing, is that you can say that you don't care, but that's so easy for you to say after just months of this harassment. This hurts. You were my friend. You just don't care? You said all this on the basis of your delusions. And now that stuff's been torn away in front of you, you just don't care? The thing is that like this doc is because people keep asking me about this stuff. If I had this doc already made, then I wouldn't have had to pour through all the time that I had to pour through, and I could have given this to Madvocate. And it would have showed him the exact same things that people are going to see when this doc is up and are seeing fragments of in this VOD because it's on screen. And this is like really salacious stuff. This does not look good for you guys. So did SK just like never talk to you guys about this? Did he just like never be like, pull you to the side, be like, hey, maybe we shouldn't use this against Southpaw. Southpaw was actually like doing the right thing. Can we just drop that, please? He didn't do that to you?
Not that I'm aware of. So
he was well aware of this, and he just decided to say absolutely nothing. He decided that this was okay to just let you guys let fester with you guys. Wow, SK, what a great guy, man! What a good guy you are. Can you promise me that you're not going to blow the whistle to SK or others? Do not tell them that I've spoken to Kira.
Yeah, you have my word on that.
Okay. You are on recording saying that. If you break it, it's going to look even worse for you. So if you want to save some face, and you're going to you've got to save as much face as you can based on what's coming. I've mirrored everything, by the way. I've mirrored your improv. I've mirrored the original doc from SK and you. I've mirrored everything. I've archived everything. There's no point in deleting anything. The best that you can do is just retract. Because it's not going to look good if you try to delete something and scrub it from existence and memory hole it away. It would be, again, just if you want to be of integrity, be like, yeah, I've made a mistake. I've really, like, I mean, that's kind of what you guys wanted of me. But now it's your turn, and it's time to show the world what you're made of. Well,
you want a drink? Because I'm getting a drink.
Hard right now! Yes! Fuck you, Alistair! I can do this. Somehow I know it. I'll get...
If he really had something, he would have given it. It's that simple. If people start asking about it, I'll like, if enough people do, then I'll just like, all right, fine. I'll give out like a quick rundown of it. Because to be honest, however long it is, I don't think it should take too long.
Let's begin. I'm gonna make you wish that I'd stayed gone. Tune on in when I'm done. Your status quo will know its race is run. Oh, this will be fun.
Fuck! I think that I said that I needed a break. I needed to take a break.
Yeah,
but that was
something like that.
That was in a group chat that Jeb was in. That's not a promise. That's like, I need a break because I'm overwhelmed, basically. So here's the thing, Jeb. This was like a month and a half or so after that call with Wolf that you and your friends acknowledged as it happened. That was a really awful experience to go through. And so being friends with Evan, and Evan seemed to be friends with the EFAP guys even after that call happened, yes, my trust in him was shaken. This, like, I don't understand why, like how is this such an alien concept to you that you might have your trust in a friend affected by something they say or do? Which, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't that's something that you're outlining here? That I was a friend of yours and you had your trust and confidence in me affected by a handful of things that are really non-issues if you think about for just 2 seconds. Evan is a guest editor of the EFAP Terriers video. Evan took my side in the EFAP Terriers drama. He understands that I was the one in the right about the show, about my conduct around the show, about trying to, avoid drama that they just chose to make worse anyways. Evan was on my side, is still on my side regarding all of that. Unlike backstabbing, sniveling little snakes like you, and SK, and Sky, and Nebula, and anyone else in ECUM, who is now a part of the smear campaign. Jeb, all of this could have been avoided had you just stopped.
I don't know who I want to go first, whether it's you or me. I don't know if you want to hear my perspective.
I'll go first. It's pretty simple. You're acting really cringe about the Terriers thing, and you were like, you were making it like your personal crusade, and it was very clear you're just being really destructive with like Mauler and Wolf and all those guys, and then you kind of had like your group of flunkies who were like just sort of, that I used to kind of be friends with, who were going after them, and I didn't really care for it too much, and I would have talked to you myself, but Wolf was heavily instructing me to like not trust you and not talk to you because you were being two-faced, he said, and you were, trying to like kind of prime people to go in, like watching Terriers, saying, "Oh yeah, like this is a great show," and like don't listen to these guys, or something to that effect. It was just, I didn't really care. It seems really autistic, so I didn't pay attention. I'm looking to actually revitalize like my real life career and like try to get an actual job because this perpetual online shit is just not fun.
It's awful. It's
yeah.
like since the whole thing blew up with EFAP for me, I've been much better at work. Like I've been a much better employee. I've been way better at my job. I'm more focused on it. I'm fantasizing less about doing YouTube for a living because I think that's fucking cringe now.
Not really sustainable.
It's
honestly.
not. So I understand the optics are that Southpaw is just pissed off that they didn't like a show that he loves. Okay? There's something deeper though. All right? So I want you to try to... God, do I really have to fucking find this? Yeah. So...
I do want to jump in and say I'm not quite as engaged with the sort of side taking of like whether you were more autistic or they were more autistic or because ultimately at the end of the day it's like from what I understand you take issue with the sort of unfairness of the way that they appraise film and the sort of smug approach to it that isn't entirely like thorough and concrete is what you're saying.
Yes, that's
good enough for me. I just think that in the way of that happening, maybe you acted a bit, like I said, autistic. I think maybe you acted a little bit too like planning and plotting and organized, and like you seemed very upset by it. And I understand it's something that's worthwhile to get. It's like worth getting upset about, but you took it a little far.
I'm totally willing to say that I took it. That I went too far in a few places, as a certain cinema maestro once said. In my last call with Wolf, Wolf accused me of basically faking sadness when I was in that last call with him and Mahler and Rags, because I was just kind of like despondent. I wasn't talking very much. I was just like, just kind of talking like this. And Wolf was like,
that was the weird thing. It seemed like whenever I was talking to them, they were really, really quiet for super long stretches of time. Like this was some sort of like video dissection.
And like, and Wolf, he was like, oh, what a great acting performance, by the way. Like he was basically accusing me of like faking sadness. And
Wolf seems like he has a lot of genuine fucking cynical, like he seems like a really, really, really bitter person.
Yeah, and his argument for that was because a movie that was about to come out, I think it was like Shang-Chi, came up briefly, and my voice like perked up a little bit. My tone of voice perked up a bit, and I didn't sound so sad for a second, and then the conversation switched back to, the subject of just like, oh, Southpaw, you've done so much harm to us and to our friendship and everything. It's like, oh, apparently like that's, when the conversation switched back to that, I was back to the thing I was telling you about, like sounding despondent. It's like, so, I mean, this is the thing. My experience of this is, and I every time I've had to like tell this to like a family member is like they've been telling me like South, it's like they don't call me South, of course.
Yo, Pa.
Yeah, they but they'll like point out like, look, when Dad was dying, like we found things to like change the subject and like lighten the mood a little bit.
Yeah,
like that's a normal thing to do.
Do you have any learning disabilities like me?
Learning disabilities?
Neurological like autism or anything like that?
I might. I'm not diagnosed, but
sure. Yeah, if you were, it'd be like high functioning, obviously. But like, I ask only because I definitely see some kind of traits in that with you. Like for example, with this whole situation, I'm pretty clearly like going through the worst possible time in my life. But like, you're so focused on like defending movie takes and addressing the Mahler controversy in a way that's kind of like a little bit socially misdirected. Right. And it's not like a big deal. I'm not like offended. it's an observation I made, is that's kind of a intense fixation, because I have ADHD and OCD, so like autism's probably like a stone's throw away from like where I already am.
I just want to say, like, I basically fully intend on whatever videos I make in the future, I'm just not going to have any kind of like
EFAP
reference to EFAP. I want to branch off and do my own thing, ignore them.
I mean, because here's the thing. If you start putting EFAP in things, you're gonna be associated with EFAP's name. You're gonna come up in search results with them, and you will inevitably already. But you want to just do the Southpaw name and just grow that and just focus on talking about movies. There's plenty of, it's harder, it's slower to grow when you're just a solo, when you're just like a one-man act, or when you're part of a smaller community, but you'll grow nonetheless. And then other outside, there's plenty of people who are just like, I'm a 40-year-old woman and I Googled this and I really like your content, thank you. Like moms just fucking YouTube surfing and shit.
I also understand you have like having a bias, and hearing that apparently Wolf was insisting that you don't come to me because I'm two-faced.
Well, he wasn't insisting I don't come to you. He was just very insistent that like you're acting super weird and crazy. And that, like he was basically like showing me everything and being like, yeah, he's like too far gone. So I'd appreciate if you wouldn't like take what I'm saying and use it and weaponize and be like, see, here's another lie they told about me. Like,
no. I'm not going. I am done going to war against them. Literally, people want to come to me and ask me how, like, what happened. I will tell them. I'll like one-on-one. I'll be like, okay, here's the recording. Here's what was said to me. Here's the show. You can watch it. Yada yada. You'll figure it out yourself. And I let them, but I'm not going to do a fucking YouTube video or a live stream or anything unless like I'm basically prompted to. Like if they want to come out against me or whatever, then it's like, okay, bring it on. I've got enough material here. But at this point, my preference is to just ignore them basically, because I've been just such a less happy person for having associated with them in the first place, having spent that much time focusing on like breaking down why they're wrong about this. Is just like, at this point, I'm gonna do a video about that show, but it's gonna be like in praise of the show, like a celebration of the show, not a takedown of them. I might like address some of their criticisms and be like, oh hey, like if I'm doing like my thing where I'm summarizing, I'm going through the events of a story and I'm breaking them down and analyzing them, I might be like, okay, so on this bit here, you might have this criticism pop up, and I think that this other detail accounts for this, that sort of thing, you know, but like not name dropping them and be like, so Mahler and Fringy said this and they're wrong here. No. That's not.
Anytime I think of like pointing out someone that like I'm upset about, or I think they fucked me over, I think about it. I'm like, that's what a loser would do. I should probably be a winner instead and just go out and carve my own path and just lead by example. And like a life, a life well lived is the best form of revenge, or the best sort of revenge is a life well lived. Yeah, and every time I think about it, I start to work my way up like, no, but I'd really have a point if I pointed this out, if I talked about it. And then I'm thinking to myself, the only people who care about this shit are total fucking idiots.
Like, honestly, dude, most people who are normal and well-adjusted already see EFAP are not fucking normal and well-adjusted people.
No, it's like the super nerd tier of shit, but, that's kind of why, that's why a lot of these people show up when they do.
Yeah.
And,
so it's just like, I mean, it's like I've seen what Kiwi Farm says about me. Because they'll talk about me in their whole thread on Mahler. It's like, I mean, I'm in the fucking title. Like, here's where you talk about critics like Rags and Southpaw. It's like, motherfucker, I am such a small fry channel. I have like, I have barely 4,500 subs on YouTube. Why do I have a Kiwi Farms thread? Well, it's not really a Kiwi Farms thread dedicated to me. It's just like, I'm in the title of the thread, that there's people that obsess over what I say. It's just like, why does it matter? Why does, you know what I mean? Why are there people that are like, isn't that just a weird thing that I've said things that piss people off so much that even though I don't really have that much influence, they will like spend a pretty odd amount of time dedicated to just stalking me on Twitter and saying, I mean, it's weird saying stalking me on Twitter, but like posting screen caps, like, oh, look at what this fucking faggot said. And it's like,
I get it, and I think that you just make stuff that you like. Don't get too hung up on the EFAP thing. People, you'll only be in their shadow as much as you let yourself be in their shadow. The moment you kind of bust out of that and stop fixating and stop like giving a shit about what some long form movie podcast thing, says about you or thinks about you privately. I don't really think it matters. You can just try to take the high road and just try to make media that you like, and make the video talking about The Last of Us 2, make whatever super ridiculous long form content you want.
Yeah.
Everything else will fall into place. Just try not to get lost in the negativity of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a part of servers where like the people that ran the servers, they used to hate me, and now they kind of like I've grown on them a bit.
You notice that you're fixating a lot on like being maligned and being misrepresented and having drama with people. Do you notice that?
Yeah, it happens a lot with me, unfortunately, and I don't like it. I don't.
You should definitely do the same advice and just kind of get away and just get out and do some stuff, because it's
Well, it's just like I've been able to make up with people, and ultimately like I don't hold what they said about me in the past against them. It's just like, it's whatever. And
I wouldn't. They don't like fucking detest you. They're annoyed that you're not like moving on. That's all. Like, that's the extent of it. When it comes up, they're like, oh yeah, I mean, he still seems really upset about that thing. I'm glad no matter what happens, I will be Chaseface and I'll be like doing my own thing. So
and I'm gonna be Southpaw. I'll just do my own thing and just talk about what I like or what I dislike. I'll analyze stuff and again just try to be like, okay, I understand there's a couple different schools of thought here. Here's what you can think about, like, you know, that sort of thing. I want to not do this whole like objectively this is this, like no. There's a couple different ways that you can read this, and I think that I fucked up in my video on Spider-Man. It's just like I didn't really account for that as much as I should have, and so I think I'm gonna try to grow from and develop out of.
Well, I don't think they're open to conversation, and that's fine. I don't want to talk to Wolf or Mahler about it either because they made it pretty clear how they feel and how like resistant they feel or how resistant they're going to be about it.
I would have wanted to have my friendship with them saved. However, the thing about it is, for me, it's just like after my last conversations with them, I can't be friends with the people that they are now. Hopefully, maybe in 10 or 20 years, they might look back and go, oh, fuck, I went about that whole situation completely wrong.
Mm-hmm.
If they approach me in 30 years, 10 years, 20 years, 5 years, 2 years, 1 year, 2 months, whatever, if they like were legit realizing what they did that was wrong and apologizing for it, I would have no issue forgiving them.
Nah, they're not gonna. It's not gonna happen.
No, it's not. I'm not expecting it to happen. Mm-hmm. But I didn't expect this to happen.
I wouldn't even entertain the hypothetical, honestly.
Yeah, no.
If you want to talk about it, go to the person that's explaining it. Don't do a counter doc on Twitter or do a YouTube video on people. It's not working. It didn't work with EFAP. Truthfully, it just didn't work with EFAP. And I get that Terriers was also a thing you want to talk about, but it didn't work. It's not going to work on ECUM. No one gives a shit about ECUM. Let's
Look, finally decided to be in a VC.
Shut up.
We're like 2,400k like YouTube channel. People are not going to give a shit about ECUM drama. Like,
right. And when I said that I was dragged into this, I don't think that was the right words to use. I reluctantly joined.
Okay.
This is about the thing I saw earlier, right?
Yeah. So, from what I could gather,
that's the end. That's the end of my notes.
I'm gonna take a wild stab in the dark here. I think that the main thing that really turned you off was the Kira and Chaseface stuff. Is that? So
that was the moment that really annoyed me. Yeah, you basically made the watching of the call with Chase like pausing it and making it basically like a podcast. That was really odd. I really didn't like that.
Okay, so that can be explained very easily. Well,
just to jump in there and like throw my 2 cents in from the beginning is that I am of the same mind. I think I even told you that. I thought that was a mistake and a strange thing. You explained the whole JCS thing and that you wanted to take a very direct approach with Chase, which I get that, but I still think it was a bad idea to share that in a public server and make a point of your approach that you took with him. So I'm not asking you to defend your position, but
the whole point was being transparent with what I said in the call, because if I don't the idea was we can do it hold on.
That wasn't
hold on, Sky. Just what were you?
So if I were to have just gone through it privately with a couple of people, the narrative probably would have been, oh, well, of course Southpaw is not going to be transparent about what he could have said in this call, and he's omitting stuff. By doing what we did in the public servers, by the way, Kira's twit longer was public. Their stuff, Kira's pronouns are they, them. Kira's, they accept any pronouns, so it's not really a big deal. I try to use their preferred pronouns, though. Kira's story was already a public thing. We were going over this thing. By the way, first and foremost, this was being done in order to try to find something in that call that was worth using. Secondly, Jeb tries to frame this in that doc as send this to Kira. That's not what you guys were pressuring me to do. You were pressuring me you were pressuring me to release it as and publicize it, not send it to Kira. No, it's not in there.
If there's a message, it is what it is.
Yeah, and Southpaw, you're right. I did say to make the recording public, but making the recording public was my issue. Because in my head was like, just post it, like on YouTube or something.
No. Okay, so there's several things to go over here. So first and foremost, I did believe Kira. The thing is though that there's a difference between saying I believe Kira and going, hey, I have a recording that will totally substantiate this. Here's the problem: is if this, like, on the off chance that I'm wrong on this, I could potentially be complicit in helping, like worsen a smear campaign against a guy. Now, I don't think that he's innocent, but if you're wrong, this is really bad, which means you need to be certain. I didn't have certainty, so I'm not going to immediately publicize it. I'm going to go through the recording. I'm going to go through the recording with several people. We're going to We're going to have multiple people. We're going to have multiple people go through it.
Let me just make.
Go ahead.
Look,
fine.
First off, the way you framed the recording to us, it seemed like you were certain. You said he admitted stuff to you. I didn't like the way you went through it in the server. For me, it makes sense. Okay, let's go through it. Let's see what parts are important. Because I even said, if you want to cut out the parts where it's about like EFAP or whatever, and it's not about the situation, because I wanted the focus to be obviously on Kira and Chase admitting to stuff that you said.
So what's the problem? Okay, what is the why are we being rushed to get through? Like, I'm sorry, why is it bad for us to go through it as analytically as possible? We're discussing it, we're watching it, we're reacting to what we're seeing.
Because the way you did it was basically like you were doing a podcast. It felt really odd. It felt like you were EFAPing the video. You were like
we weren't EFAPing the video.
Jokes.
Well, in truth be told, that's kind of my.
By the way, I'm sorry. There is nothing wrong with making jokes at Chase's expense. As long as we're not, no. As long, no. The reason why is because Chase is the groomer. He is the guy that you make jokes about. If you're joking about Kira, that's one thing. That's one thing.
Hold on, Southpaw. Just to steel man you in regards to that, you did say that there was a little bit of an ambiguity in terms of this situation, given the fact that it could come to light that he wasn't the abuser or something like that. These things are always complicated when it comes to allegations of abuse and that type of a thing. But would you agree that is a rocky territory to run when you are dealing with something that's not necessarily confirmed, even though you did say that you agreed, you sided with Kira, or at least believed her?
Well, I believed her. I just wasn't. Well, sorry, I believed them. I just wasn't certain enough to publicize this. That was the point of going through this call. If we had found something in there that was worth publicizing, it would have been publicized. Then Jeb realizes that it doesn't have to be publicized. Now, for some reason, go ahead.
Well, just to build off of the public aspect of it, would you say that the server and the sheer volume of people, because weren't there
12 people?
How many?
There was like a dozen people or so in the VC at most.
That's a good chunk. Well, and anyone who was a part of the server could join, right? And people joined in and out.
So what?
Yeah.
What's the problem? What is the problem with that?
The public aspect of it is you seem to have an adverse reaction to publicizing it, but you didn't in terms of showing it in the server. I know obviously you were there
server versus tweeting out a clip on with the intent being to prove or to back up what Kira is saying are two different things. We were going through it in the server to find that clip. We were going through it so I could be transparent about what I said in there.
Couldn't you have done that by yourself though? Couldn't you have found the clip on your own?
Transparency with others about what I said in that call. There was nothing mean-spirited about us going after Kira. We were pretty convinced that Chase is a piece of shit. He admitted to abusing his animals, so that's kind of right then and there. He's a pretty acceptable target for making fun of him, especially when he screams, "I spent thousands of dollars on her."
Yeah, and obviously jokes were made about that.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't care what you feel. Facts don't care about your feelings. There's nothing wrong with that. Sky, you're making a mountain out of a molehill.
One sec, guys. Hold on.
Relevant to how I feel or how you feel. I don't feel like it's fine. There's no
It
facts.
literally is fine.
Hold on, guys. Let's refocus because
law and jokes.
I don't necessarily. This isn't something necessarily that I want to back with some sort of rock solid concrete like evidence or something like that. I'm not necessarily saying what you did was illegal or something like that. It's just that I thought it was a weird approach to take.
Okay, well, just
and
because
for me,
you think it's a weird approach to take, or it sounds like how you would have liked it, doesn't mean that it's wrong.
That's what I was getting at. I'm not necessarily saying that. I'm just saying that it's something that weirds me out. For me, at least from where I sit, I think it would have been the better approach if you wanted other people to be aware of certain information to release either some or all of the call. I personally wouldn't have done either of them. But of the two, I think that's the more.
Well, I literally did this because I was being pressured to release this call. Okay, that was the point. You you were the ones that were pressuring me to release this call. The whole point of this was to try to find something in this call that would be worth publicizing. Now I'm being complained. Now it's complaining about, oh, the manner in which we did this. This was inappropriate. You were cracking jokes. It's like, Jesus Christ. It's kind of like the whole thing of not banning Herf because we didn't think that he did anything I didn't think that he did anything that warranted a ban. And then when he does get banned after Ceci throws a tantrum at me, it gets changed to, oh, well, you only did this because people were mad at you. You only cared about your reputation. You weren't doing this to be a good ally. Like, fuck off.
Do you think it would have been better for him to? Why do you believe
done
that?
it in the GC? Shared it to the 10 of us, and then we get the clips. And if you wanted to add any extra context,
then why didn't you communicate that to me at the time? You didn't.
Well, hold on. Hold on, Southpaw. One sec. As well as that, why do you think that that's a better approach to take than what he took in the server? If it's technically a similar.
Because with the server, it kind of felt like an event. It felt like EFAP-ing the video, which felt disrespectful to the situation.
That wasn't the point. That's just a bad faith interpretation.
Well, he's not. She's not saying that as concrete, right? Well, or I don't want to put words in your mouth, Sky, but do you think? Because I feel a similar way. I found it was strange, and it seemed like a welcome to join on in and
we weren't trying to EFAP it.
I'm not saying that.
Completely inaccurate way of you can say that's how it came across to you. That wasn't the intent. You have now made it my problem because that's how you misread it.
Okay.
I'm telling you I'm
saying that I take issue with things that felt like EFAPing then, such as you calling the people that were watching the video chat. They're like, oh, chat, what do you think of this? That one was odd. And then the pausing the video all the time to make jokes, that felt really inappropriate. And the tweeting, I spent thousands of dollars over.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, for your perspective, as we said, that is completely subjective. I'm telling you what I took issue with so that you can understand it.
Do you see why I find that a bit strange? And I wasn't comfortable with that. I joined for a while. I remember I joined and saw a little bit of it, and then I left. I wasn't comfortable being there, and I wasn't comfortable with the situation.
Does not mean that was the intent. And it does not mean that there was anything more to it than, hey, we're going to try to find something in here to help. We're going to try to find something in here to help Kira. You know what, though? We, as a means of making this less stressful, we found ways to joke about it and make light of the situation. Because you know what? We were making light of the situation that day. We were. You and Jeb and Nebula and SK, you were all making light of that situation in that group chat earlier that day.
You know,
same day.
Let's not throw shade around right now.
Dark humor isn't a sin. I'm sorry, making light of a dark situation even like this, I've always done. I do to this day. I share company with people who have no problems with this. I had no idea that you and Jeb and Nebula had issues with this, especially given for the previous few hours.
Jeb is very open with the dark humor. Like there was a moment specifically where Chase mentions wolf and terriers, and then Southpaw pauses the video to start explaining the Katie situation in terriers, what happened to her in terriers, to chat. And I remember I interrupted and said, Southpaw, I think we should focus on the video. That was one moment that actually annoyed me, was the focus on the stuff that wasn't relevant. Was I'm pausing, I'm making comments about EFAP and Wolf and whatnot, which for me was obviously
you know what happened. You know what happened just a month and a half earlier, Sky? The call with Wolf. Do you think that the call with Wolf might have affected why I might have started venting there? Do you remember that call with Wolf? Do you need a link to it?
Southpaw.
Do you want to rewatch it?
No, Southpaw, I don't need that. I'm sure that could have colored why you reacted that way. That's still, like, I still
doesn't
don't
change
like
how
the
she
way
feels.
The way you paused and started talking about Terriers really, really irked me, because, like, for me, this was much more important, much bigger than that.
That doesn't mean that we're not going to stop talking about this thing with or try to get to the bottom of this Kira recording. We're just taking a pause to vent. That's it. This is what I mean by making a mountain out of a molehill. Like, when I say a molehill, is like, well, I mean, you might have something valid here. Is like, sure, we're getting off topic, but come on, this is just a vent. We're not stopping.
You understand? This is what I'm going through with Sky, though, is that Sky's like expressing like feelings and trying to like say that she was weirded out by certain things, like.
But that doesn't.
And
mean
I
that
even
has
said
to be
as
a
much.
Deal breaker. That doesn't like I'm still friends with Evan. Evan's not making dossiers on this.
You've been very disinvolved with this in a similar way to me. I don't know what Jeb would say about most all of this, and I don't think that a call with Jeb with us would be half as cordial as this has been. So you never know.
The way that I would put it is just that Evan's just been more understanding of that. That's not a deal breaker for him. It was for
understanding of what?
Understanding of the situation of venting about EFAP.
Yeah. Well, and you know what I was doing when I was in the calls. I was trying to get you. I discouraged you for like the better part of a year, dude. I really did, and I think we still worked things out in spite of that. But like I listened to you, but I obviously wasn't.
Well, what happened to me was traumatic. Is the problem, and what I keep on seeing from Jeb is invalidating that trauma, because he seems to refuse to accept what happened at the start that Evan literally firsthand witnessed. I don't like this thing that Jeb has done of just entirely invalidating what happened to me to then judge me for how I acted while I was clearly affected by it.
Would you say that colored how you behaved with certain situations, including the Chase situation?
Yes. This was literally a month after the Wolf call. Sky, literally February 16th was the day that I said I wasn't sure if I could trust Evan anymore because of how fucking affected I was by this. I couldn't sleep. I wasn't eating. I wasn't interested in what I liked anymore. Do you understand that I was depressed? That I had to surrender my guns to my neighbor the month before because of what happened?
As emotionally colored as you may have been, like, for one, you engaged with this thing in spite of it all. You were like an active part of it, like, even though you were emotionally like volatile, which I understand that, but it doesn't, your state in that position is not like, it doesn't cover like the specifics of the actions, right? And we haven't even established that like the said actions were wrong, or I don't even know if anyone said that specifically yet.
I'm not trying to. Listen, I try to avoid this situation entirely. That's why I went no contact with EFAP for 3 months, and then the thing with Wolf happened, and that kind of sent me over the edge. That was the point where I was done. I was done trying to keep the peace and just go no contact with EFAP. I wanted revenge at that point because of what Wolf did.
Yeah,
I had
now deja fucking vu with Jeb. So this is why I'm anti dossier, and I don't know why the hell Jeb is doing this. Which I think we talked about this at the beginning.
That's the thing, is I had a network of friends to help me through that, including Sky and Jeb and SK, and now none of you are here.
Yeah.
I understand that you were traumatized, and the thing that I'm saying is, what I felt regarding that call was that the way you were dealing with it was very insensitive, and the focus on EFAP on it during it felt really insensitive.
Wasn't
and really odd.
focus.
Well,
now, the focus was on
framing.
Kira.
Hold on.
Sometimes went on a tangent,
framing.
but that wasn't the focus. Yeah, the way that this is written in Jeb's doc that I've been having to pour over because I'm working on a response to this is one that's basically designed to make me look like I am extremely callous and self-centered about a situation like what's going on with Chaseface and Kira, and the reality is I'm a person with a morbid sense of humor as a means of coping with shit like this on the regular. I, especially given what happened just a month before to me.
Can you understand that that level of nuance is something that you can't screenshot or argue away? I don't. Do you go into that in your counter dossier for once, since it's all on the table now? It's because I don't even think it's something.
Can I interject real quick?
Please.
The thing that really got to me was just like, but in that GC, there's so many screenshots of you guys all reacting to this call and agree how fucking horrible this was.
Yeah, I remember Jeb reacting to it. I'm going to tell you something. Mm-hmm. I have never actually watched that call. And that partly could be just me to blame because I didn't watch that call. Okay. For not understanding the depth of like what you were feeling because I didn't want to watch that call. And I understand that.
Okay.
That call, I don't know, it's just something that I didn't want to get into like myself. It felt like too much for me.
It's a horrifying like don't go through it. It's like there's a you know what? There's a transcript. There is a transcript. So if you don't want to have
that does make it easier to do.
You know what? If you don't want, I will send you the link to the transcript so that you don't have to actually watch it because it's pretty fucking disturbing.
You were making a mountain out of a molehill with the problem with Terriers. Where it's like, oh my god, they hate Terriers. Because at the time you were very supportive, but then it felt like it became an obsession with you. With EFAP and Terriers and going only after them and not doing anything else. And I don't remember if it was like your idea. I think you were like, you wanted to send a DM to Wolf and you wanted to send DM to Mahler and we kept saying no, you know, like writing these long ass messages. I don't know if you ever sent them or not. But I remember you wrote one where you compared yourself to like Jinx from Arcane.
I sent that to Wolf right before this call. But
yes,
the way in which this is presented, it kind of looks like, please stop with the N-word. Like, thank God. Anyways, stop with the references to media, please. N-word says LMFAO. So it's like, all right, Kira, what's the problem with references to media while going over this Chaseface call?
There is none.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's kind of... And again, worth highlighting, this is not long after that Wolf call.
Yeah.
Like, I mean...
Come on, guys.
This is not long after that, like, bullying session that I went through, which, in my doc, I prove these people, like, piss cunt spastic as they go by, lovey-dovey as they go by, Jeb... They knew about this. They literally acknowledged this thing's existence like days after it happened. And there's just like no consideration whatsoever. Like, man, why is Southpaw talking about EFAP and Terriers and yeah. Like, I don't know. Maybe I went through a trauma, dude. Maybe I went through something pretty fucking shitty myself. All of them dissected her story, her situation, her trauma. You, Kira, you posted a twit longer.
I literally did. I did that myself.
Posted a public twit longer. Your drama was already...
It was already, like, out there. There was no hiding it.
Like, my drama and my trauma is also in the public sphere now. And I've got people dissecting it and saying shit tons of horrible things about me. I still keep on hearing, you got mad with him because they didn't like a TV show. That's just said to this day. I'm going to have to deal with that for the rest of my life. But I don't care.
And for me personally, I'm glad this didn't like blow up like bigger and like to more like like more than what it was. Because at the time, I would not be mentally stable enough to handle any of that. And I know I would get a lot of, and you know, I would get a lot of support, but I'd also get a lot of hate coming my way. That's just how the internet is.
Yeah, I've gotten a lot of hate since going public about the stuff with EFAP. Like,
yeah,
that's just how it goes. This is why a lot of victims of abuse and bullying and trauma stay silent in the first place.